Hello gamers, I'm Encasiel, and in this video I'll be talking about an MMORPG that until very recently was somewhere on the bottom of my interest list. As information about it kept coming up, my interest kept growing, and at the moment it climbed up all the way to the top after they released the gameplay video. I'm talking about Chrono Odyssey. In this video I will share the information available so far, discuss some concerns and address some misinformation that is being actively spread in the MMO community about this title. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to thank all the returning subscribers for supporting me in this hobby of mine. It means more than you think. If you are a new viewer, welcome to the channel, and please consider dropping a like and subscribing. I cover a variety of MMORPG related topics. Who knows, maybe some of the things I talk about will be of interest to you. Alright, with that reminder out of the way, let's talk about the topic of this video. So what is Chrono Odyssey? The developers are calling it a next generation open world MMORPG, but that doesn't mean a whole lot, so let's expand upon it and see what we know so far. To me, and many others, gameplay is the most important aspect of an MMO. After all, it is the way we explore the MMO for most of our active playtime. In this case, most of the information we have about gameplay is related to combat, so I will start with that. The game features action combat, with all the features we can expect from action combat, like attack, dodge and block. On top of that, the characters will have class-based weapons and abilities they can use. There will be 6 classes available at release, and they are Swordmaster, Ranger, Sorcerer, Berserker, Paladin and Assassin. It appears there is no gender lock, and we have seen a few of the classes both female and male, which is kinda rare for Korean MMOs, and as someone that will always play male characters, I really appreciate this. Each of these classes will be able to switch between 2 sets of weapons in combat. We know the Swordmaster will be able to use a one-handed sword and a kite shield, or a two-handed greatsword. The Ranger can use a bow or a rapier. The Sorcerer will be able to use a staff or a magical tome. The Berserker will be able to use 2 one-handed axes or a great axe. The Paladin will be using a tower shield and a mace or a spear with it. The Assassin will be able to use 2 one-handed daggers or a rifle. It also seems that the characters that use a shield will be able to unequip them for a more offensive playstyle. Both the Swordmaster and the Paladin can be seen wielding the one-handed weapons without a shield. This already seems really cool, but there is more to combat. The story is centered around an artifact called Chronotector that can manipulate time, and it seems will play some role in combat. We have seen 2 examples of this so far. One is the ability to rewind the position of the character by about 2 seconds, and the other one is the ability to stop time around yourself for 2 seconds. If you play Tower of Fantasy, the game does something similar when you perfectly dodge. It creates an area that can slow down time by 99%. It makes combat feel so cool. Keep in mind these abilities will have a considerable cooldown and they will not be effective against bosses. We do not know if combat will be Trinity based or not, but some supportive abilities will be available. For example, the Paladin seems to be a tank, and the tome the Sorcerer uses might be a supportive weapon. Maybe it will be similar to how supports work in Lost Ark or Blade and Soul. Or maybe it will be a full-fledged Trinity system like New World. Of course, gameplay is more than just combat, however we have little information on other systems like life skilling professions. The only other element we know is that the game will have mounts. Hopefully, we will be able to mount one of those amazing looking elites. Now that we have the information regarding gameplay, let's find out where and what content we can experience with it. The game is set in a massive world that contains world bosses, world events, elites and dungeons. It is unclear if the dungeons will be instanced or not, but I think it's safe to assume that they will be, since we see a heavy emphasis on both solo and small group content on top of the massive world boss battles. Since we're talking about open world, I should mention that the game will also have a day and night cycle, a weather system and potentially dynamic seasons. I say potentially because the seasons might be done in such a way to match the seasons in real life, similar to how BDO does it. We do not know if these elements will influence combat at all, and for now I think it's safe to assume they will not take the same approach as Throne and Liberty, and the world changing will only affect minor elements, like some elites or world bosses spawning only at night. The next element that probably a few of you are wondering about is PvP. Not much has been revealed about PvP, however they said that Kingdom vs Kingdom will be something the game will have available at release. Basically territory wars similar to something New World has, or similar to the sieges that Throne and Liberty will be bringing. Other than that, there is no mention of PvP. However, in all the interviews with the developer, there is a massive focus on the co-op elements of the game, and how they want people to cooperate with each other in the open world. This leads me to believe that the game will not feature forced PvP, and if any form of open world PvP will be available, it will be opt-in. The next point I should talk about is graphics, but I feel like there is no need to talk about graphics. As you can see from the footage running in the background, the game looks absolutely fantastic. And the only competition this game will have in this aspect will probably be Black Desert and Throne and Liberty. There will be other games that might come close, like Windfall, Quantum Nights or PAX Day, but we have yet to see them in a proper multiplayer environment, so we cannot judge them yet. Performance will always be a concern with new titles, but we have to be realistic here. In today's day and age, you'll need to have a decently updated setup to be able to enjoy the latest games. That being said, the game is made in Unreal Engine 5, which has great overall performance. For those of you interested in the finer elements of an MMORPG, the developers are putting a lot of effort into world building and telling a story. We have seen in the past that MMORPGs with great stories do extremely well, so hopefully they manage to pull it off. I know a lot of people do not like spoilers, so I will keep it short. You are going to be part of an organization that is seeking to kill the 12 gods. And the story will involve the use of the Chrono Tector, which can manipulate time to keep you alive on this journey. Since we're talking about the finer details, we have to address the sound. The composer of the soundtrack is Chris Velasco. I would not expect you to know who that is, I didn't either. But he is a composer that has titles like God of War, Resident Evil, StarCraft, Bloodborne and many others in his CV. So I think it's safe to assume that we will be spoiled by the soundtrack. All this information sounds absolutely fantastic, it got me so hyped up about the game. But we must also look at some concerns that I have seen in the community. There is a concern that this game will be cross-platform with mobile, and we need to address this. The game will indeed be cross-platform, but only for PC and consoles. This is because of how easy Unreal Engine 5 makes it for developers to create cross-platform games. And because of this, initially the developers wanted to make it available on mobile too. However, during the development they realized that this will not be possible for the game they are trying to make. So for now, they are only focusing on providing the best possible experience for PC and consoles. I know some people hate the idea of playing their MMORPGs on mobile or tablet, but as shown by the gaming market, a lot more people enjoy doing so. And while I know this might be disappointing for those of you that enjoy it, maybe in the future the developers will take the same approach Throne and Liberty is taking and make an UI for touchscreen. This will allow players to stream the game from their PCs or console to their phone. Until then, there will be third-party software that will allow you to achieve this. The next concern is that this will be an NFT project. This was raised because the developer has previously created a game that had both a version with NFTs and a version without. Personally, I don't see a problem with this. It's like having PvP servers and PvE servers. People can choose to play whichever version they enjoy. That being said, it's been confirmed that Chrono Odyssey will not have any NFT or Web3 elements. The last concern that a lot of us have with MMORPGs in general is the pay-to-win aspect. This is a Korean MMORPG. I think you should expect pay-to-win to some degree. It is the way MMORPG genre as a whole is, and we discussed this a few times on the channel. Almost every single MMORPG has some form of pay to win. The real concern is if this pay to win will affect our enjoyment. Sadly, this will remain an unknown until the game is released. The last thing I want to talk about is maybe the most important element when it comes to upcoming MMORPGs, and that is, when can we play it? The developers are aiming for a simultaneous release both globally and in Korea, and this release is scheduled for sometimes in 2023. Take this with a pinch of salt, because we have been disappointed in the MMORPG genre more than we can count. I think it's been more than 5 years since we had an MMORPG that managed to stick to their release schedule, most of them being already delayed years. Like always, I will give them the benefit of assuming they have the best intentions, and I will also pair that with the fact that they have been very active on social media. This makes me think that maybe we can see an announcement in the next 2-3 months, maybe for a beta, or even better, a release date. Fingers crossed. That's all I know at the moment about Chrono Odyssey, and now you know it too. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one, gamers!